Every morning, as the first light of dawn touched the calm surface of the lake, a young mother named Sarah would arrive. She didn't come for food or for the company of other early risers. She came for him. Holding her 4-month-old baby Evan, wrapped snugly in a warm blanket, she'd sit by the shore. And every morning, a magnificent white swan would glide across the water, her movements graceful and sure. As she neared them, she would slow, as if drawn by an invisible thread, connecting her to the small bundle in Sarah's arms. Sarah would smile softly and whisper to her son, "There she is again, Evan. Your friend." And the baby, even at his tender age, would coo and giggle in response. From the very first day Evan saw the light of the world, this swan had never missed a single morning. It was their silent, shared ritual. Days turned into weeks, and the bond between the baby and the swan grew stronger. Each morning they would return, and the swan would be there, waiting faithfully, sometimes already near the shore as if she couldn't bear to be late for their meeting. Sarah would settle Evan on her lap, and the swan would stretch her long, elegant neck, moving with a gentleness that was breathtaking to witness. It was as if she inherently understood just how fragile the tiny human was. Evan, fascinated, would reach out with his chubby little fingers, trying to touch the creature of pure white. Sarah started capturing these incredible moments on her phone, documenting a friendship that defied explanation. She'd later tell a friend, "She's so protective. I don't understand it, but she never gets too close, yet never too far." Whenever the swan flapped her wings softly, a ripple of air would dance across the water, and Evan would burst into delighted laughter. Soon, the locals who frequented the lake began to notice this strange and beautiful friendship. An old fisherman, Mr. Allen, who had spent decades by this water, often watched them from a distance, a look of quiet wonder on his face. One morning, he approached Sarah. "That swan," he said, his voice raspy with age. "She doesn't trust anyone. I've seen her chase off dogs, even people, but with your boy, it's different." Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on the swan who was now circling gently near the shore. "I know," she replied. "It's like she chose him." Mr. Allen just shook his head slowly. And perhaps, in a way that humans couldn't fully comprehend, she truly did. A bond had been forged, not of logic or reason, but of a pure and mysterious connection between two souls. Their quiet afternoons became a portrait of tranquil devotion. On warmer days, Sarah would lay Evan on a soft blanket near the water's edge, always keeping a watchful eye. The swan would patrol the shallow water nearby, her head held high, circling slowly, a silent sentinel standing guard. She watched him, protected him, and loved him in a way no one could possibly explain. It was a language of the heart, spoken without words. As Evan grew, he started trying to imitate her soft honks and chirps with his own baby babble. And to the amazement of his mother, the swan would always answer him gently, her soft calls a soothing melody across the water. It was a conversation only they understood, a unique harmony between a baby and a bird. Their friendship was a quiet miracle unfolding day by day. But then came the day everything changed. The sky, once clear and blue, began to fill with heavy, ominous clouds. A sudden strong wind swept across the lake, turning the calm surface into a choppy gray expanse. Sensing the shift in weather, Sarah stood up to pack their things, preparing to head home. Evan was settled in his stroller, just a few steps behind her as she gathered their blanket. In that split second of distraction, a powerful gust of wind hit with unexpected force. The stroller, which had seemed secure, began to roll. It was slow at first, just a few inches. But then it gained momentum, its wheels turning faster and faster, heading directly toward the deep, churning water of the lake. And in that single, heart-stopping moment, their peaceful morning turned into a scene of absolute danger. Before Sarah could even register the movement and turn around, the swan let out a sound she had never made before. It wasn't a soft honk or a gentle chirp. It was a loud, sharp, piercing screech that cut through the howling wind, a sound of pure alarm. In an instant, she lunged from the water, her powerful wings beating against the air, dragging her body onto the shore with a desperate urgency. With no hesitation, no thought for her own safety, she threw herself directly in front of the rolling stroller. She became a living barrier, her wings spread wide, pushing back against the momentum with all her might. She didn't think, she didn't hesitate. She simply acted on an instinct that was deeper than survival. It was an instinct to protect him. The stroller jolted to a stop, its front wheels pressed firmly against her soft, feathered body. Hearing that unearthly scream, Sarah spun around. Her heart plummeted. The world seemed to slow down as she saw the stroller teetering at the water's edge, blocked only by the white form of the Swan. "Evan! Evan!" She screamed, a raw cry of terror tearing from her throat. She sprinted towards them, her feet barely touching the ground. She grabbed the stroller, yanking it back onto the safety of the path. Her hands were shaking uncontrollably as she unbuckled her son, pulling him into her arms and holding him tight. Tears streamed down her face as the full weight of what had nearly happened crashed down on her. And there, standing still, wings now lowered and breathing heavily, was the silent guardian who had just saved her child's life. Sarah knelt in front of the Swan, her gratitude overwhelming. She reached out a trembling hand and gently touched the Swan's head. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "Thank you." The Swan simply closed her eyes, a quiet acknowledgement of a debt that could never be repaid. A couple walking nearby had witnessed the entire terrifying event. "Oh my God," the woman called out, rushing towards Sarah. That Swan just saved your baby." The story spread like wildfire among the lake visitors. A small crowd gathered, their faces a mixture of shock, disbelief, and utter amazement. Mr. Allen, the old fisherman, came over, his eyes wide as he shook his head. "I've lived by this lake my whole life," he said, his voice filled with awe. "I've never seen a swan do something like that, never." Amidst the commotion, the Swan moved closer, nudging the stroller gently before looking up at the baby now safe in his mother's arms. The Swan would lean her head towards him, a gesture of profound affection and recognition. In that moment, the unbreakable bond between them was sealed forever, forged in the heart of a crisis, and tempered by a love that defied all boundaries of species. Their story became a local legend, a testament to the extraordinary connections that can form in the most unexpected of ways. As the sun would set, painting the water in hues of gold and orange, Sarah would hold Evan close, watching their guardian angel swim peacefully beside them. This creature was no longer just a swan of the lake. She was his protector, his friend. And besides his own mother, she was the first being in the world who had loved him with all of her heart, proving that love, in its purest form, knows no limits and speaks a universal language. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories from our amazing world.